Good afternoon, beautiful people. I am on a little mini road trip right now to go look at some weird stuff located in Salt Lake City. The reason I'm coming to Salt Lake City again is because there's another new thing that I learned about that is totally connected with all the other stuff that I talk about on this channel about the extraterrestrials and the gods that are really ruling the planet, and some of them are enslaving the planet, and how they're super obsessed with like genetic manipulation and genealogy records and DNA experimenting and stuff like that. There's actually two places that I want to go check out, which I haven't gone to yet, that have a lot to do with DNA and genetics. The first one, it's called the Summum Pyramid, spelled Summum, and it's a modern day man-made pyramid where they actually have a mummification service. So you know, if you don't want to get buried or cremated, you can go there and they will mummify your dead body or mummify your pets or your friends or your family, and then they will drop the mummified body down into a big underground vault, and we'll just keep it there. The reason that I believe these ancient gods and gods of Egypt were so obsessed with mummification is because it preserved the genetic material. Genetic material is like a commodity that gets traded throughout this big multi-planetary industry. These gods and these really highly advanced people, that, remember, people because they're just humans like us, but they're very advanced, more advanced genetically and more advanced with their technology. Up there in all the other planets, you know, they aren't trading, you know, United States dollars like we are down here, but they're probably trading genetic material and technology. So they have this whole mummification service down there. I'm going to go check it out. I'm not even sure if it's going to be open. The other place I'm going to check out it's this giant vault in the mountains, and inside this vault they have a genealogy record, a massive genealogy record vault that goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and just trace back as many people on the planet as they can. And who knows, they're probably storing way more than just genealogy records in there. Who knows what other kind of ancient documents and artifacts and stuff they have in there. Well, we made it to the pyramid. How's it going? Are you guys open? Okay, I wanted to come see the pyramid. I just wanted to see the pyramid. All right. Yeah, too bad they're not open. I'll try and come back tomorrow and see. But here it is, the pyramid, where they mummify people and their pets. Let's come around to the other side here. I'm glad I got here in time before the sun went down. Some people claim that in the Mormon religion, they believe that they can baptize the dead, and mummification is part of the process of baptizing people after they have died. Let's read this sign. The grand principle of creation is nothing and possibility come in and out of bond infinite times in a finite moment. So if my theory is true about mummification being all about preserving genetics, here's another interesting coincidence. This pyramid is located on Genesee Avenue. Sounds just like Genesis, the first book of the Bible. And Genesis is the genes of Isis. Isis is one of the Anunnaki gods. The genetics of Isis. Genesee Avenue, and a pyramid where they preserve genetic material. Salt Lake City is known as the Mecca and capital for the Mormon religion. In the very first few chapters in the Book of Mormon, we hear a story about a man named Nephi who is in direct contact with one of the extraterrestrial Anunnaki gods, and he orders Nephi to go to Jerusalem, kill this Jew named Laban, and steal his genealogy records. Chapter 3, verse 2 through 4. And it came to pass that he spake unto me, saying, Behold, I have dreamed a dream, in the which the Lord hath commanded me that thou and thy brethren shall return to Jerusalem. For behold, Laban
hath the record of the Jews, and also a genealogy of my forefathers, and they are engraven upon plates of brass. Wherefore the Lord hath commanded me, that thou and thy brothers should go unto the house of Laban, and seek the records, and bring them down hither into the wilderness. The rest of the story basically goes like this. They go to Laban's house. They try to offer him gold for the genealogy records. He turns them down. He sends his men after Nephi to try to kill them and steal their gold, but they get away. So then they go back later, and they find him while he's drunk off wine, and they cut off his head, get into his treasury, and steal the genealogy records. Starting from verse 11, and he beheld that they did contain the 5 books of Moses, which gave an account of the creation story of the world, and also of Adam and Eve, who were our first parents, and also a record of the Jews from the very beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, and also the prophecies of the holy prophets from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, and also many prophecies which have been spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah. And it came to pass that my father Lehi also found upon the plates of brass a genealogy of his fathers. Wherefore he knew that he was a descendant of Joseph.
The testimony of 3 witnesses to the Book of Mormon. Yeah, I listened to the entire audiobook of Mormon. It's one of the most racist books I've ever listened to. The whole book, their God is like, kill the fucking Jews. The Jews are the whores of the earth. Kill the men, kill the women, steal all their gold, steal all their silver, steal all their genealogy records. They were so obsessed with the genealogy records because they were racist as fuck. So they want to keep track of, who's in the bloodline, so they know who to discriminate against and who to exterminate. Should read the whole book. Listen to the whole audiobook. Oh, there's the man right there, Mr. Joseph Smith. How much are the books of Mormon?
It's free.
Oh, they're free? So this is like the real one, right? Because you know how like sometimes they have like the retranslated one for the kids, but this is like the real one where they're all like kill the Jews and steal all their stuff and all that. That's all the good stuff's in here, right?
That's
all right. This is the racist one, right? Where they're killing the Jews.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's free.
You're so welcome.
Oh, look, I got a free book. Okay, see that big cement structure up there? That is the entrance to the genealogy vault. They have the whole place on lock. Like, the only way to even get up there is you have to climb the side of that snow-covered hill or drive up into it, but it's all blocked off. Well, you can't even, really get up to it. I think those people were, changing their tire right there or something, but that is the entrance to the genealogy vault.
As we continue our research into the Mormon religion and continue reading the Book of Mormon, what we discover is accurate descriptions of what people in the 21st century describe as UFOs, extraterrestrial encounters, advanced weapons technology, and government-style propaganda. The other thing we realize as we continue reading is that the gods in the Book of Mormon are the exact same gods as in the ancient Sumerian creation story, referred to in the ancient Sumerian as the Anunnaki, which means those that came from the heavens. There is an interesting correlation in the Book of Mormon that suggests ancient Sumerian connections. In chapter 14, verse 10, in the Book of Mormon, it says there are only 2 churches. One is the Church of God, and the other is the Church of the Devil. Ancient Sumerian tells us about the exact kind of rivalry with 2 sibling Anunnaki gods competing with each other for control of the human race. In ancient Sumerian, Enki is referred to as the god of water, and Enlil is referred to as the god of the sky, or the god of the air. Nephi chapter 14 verse 11 says, And it came to pass that I looked and beheld the whore of all the earth, and she sat upon many waters. Remember, Enki is the god of water. And she had dominion over all the earth, among all nations, kindreds, tongues, and people. And it came to pass that I beheld the church of the Lamb of God, and its numbers were few, because of the wickedness and abominations of the whore who sat upon many waters. In the ancient Sumerian creation story, Enlil, aka the Mormon god of the sky, is actually the evil god, always waging war, demanding his followers to murder other humans and steal their wealth. At the same time, he's always running smear campaigns against his sibling rival Enki. According to ancient Sumerian, Enki was the original geneticist who hybridized the human race. Enki created the humans with the intention so that they would eventually evolve to be just as advanced as the gods. This angered Enlil, as his intention was to keep humanity enslaved for eternity. Continuing further into the Mormon book of Nephi, Enlil, who we know now is the same Mormon god, continues to demand obedience from his followers and continues demonizing other civilizations on the planet to gain support from his followers so that they may conquer and control the land through dictatorship while falsely advertising freedom, just like the United States does to this day. Nephi chapter 10, verse 11 reads, "And this land shall be a land of liberty unto the Gentiles, and there shall be no kings upon the land who shall rise up against the Gentiles." Oh, land of the free, liberty. Sound familiar? Good old USA, land of the free, haha. Alright, let's move on to verse 12. "And I will fortify this land against all other nations, and he that fighteth against Zion shall perish, saith God. For he hath risen up a king against me, shall perish. For I, the Lord, the King of heaven," remember, Enlil is the king of the sky, or the god of the air, that's why he's referring to as the King of heaven. More references confirming that Enlil is the same Mormon god. "For I, the King of the heaven, will be their king, and I will be the light unto them forever, that hear my words. Wherefore, for this cause, that my covenants may be fulfilled, which I have made unto the children of men, that I will do unto them while they are in the flesh, I must needs destroy the secret works of the darkness, and of murderers, and of abominations." This is a perfect example of how their God uses propaganda to turn people against each other. Today we see the same exact tactics being used by pawns like George W. Bush. We gotta get them terrorists, they got weapons of mass destruction, they're evil, we gotta get them bad guys over there. Same shit is still happening today, same shit has been happening for thousands of years. "Wherefore he that fighteth against Zion, both Jew and Gentile, both bond and free, both male and female shall perish. For they are who they are, the whores of all the earth. They who are not for me are against me, saith God." Let's take a quick look at something George W. Bush said.
"Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists."
Nephi and his bloodline were being indoctrinated with fear-mongering tactics and propaganda, the same exact way that citizens of the United States are indoctrinated.
"The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder, weapons of mass destruction, all weapons of mass destruction program,
the spread of the world's most dangerous weapons, nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, devastating effects, the use of chemical weapons,
it's weapons of mass destruction."
Weapons of mass destruction are nothing new according to the Book of Mormon. In fact, when the innocent people living under the world dictatorship of the Mormon God refuse obedience, they are punished with a nuclear holocaust, also known as a weapon of mass destruction. In 3rd Nephi chapter 8, there is an astoundingly accurate description of their god dropping a nuclear bomb on what is today known as the continent of North America. According to the Book of Mormon, this nuclear holocaust took place in 34 AD, coincidentally immediately after Jesus was supposedly crucified. Let's read from 3rd Nephi chapter 8, verse 4. "And there began to be great doubtings and disruptions amongst the people, notwithstanding so many signs had been given." Okay, that sounds like protests, like the people protesting against the government. Let's continue to verse 5. "And it came to pass in 34th year, that's 34 AD, about 2,000 years ago, in the first month, and on the 4th day of the month, there arose a great storm, such one as never had been known in all the land. And there was also a great and terrible tempest, and there was terrible thunder, insomuch that it did shake the whole earth as if it was about to divide asunder. And there were exceedingly sharp lightnings, such as never had been known in all the land. and the city of Zarahemla did take fire, and the city of Moroni did sink into the depths of the sea, and the inhabitants therefore were drowned. It almost sounds like they triggered an earthquake and dropped a nuclear bomb at the same time. And the earth was carried up among the city of Moroniha, and in the place of the city there became a great mountain. And there was a great and terrible destruction in the land southward. But behold, there was a more great and terrible destruction in the land northward. For behold, the whole face of the land was changed, because of the tempest and the whirlwinds, and the thunderings and the lightnings, and the exceedingly great quaking of the whole earth. And the highways were broken up, and the level roads were spoiled, and many smooth places became rough, and many great and notable cities were sunk and were burned, and many were shaken, till the buildings therefore had fallen to the earth, and the inhabitants therefore were slain, and the places were left desolate. And there were some cities which remained, but the damage thereof was exceedingly great, and there were many in them who were slain. And there were some who were carried away in the whirlwind, and whither they went no man knoweth, save they that they were carried away. And thus the face of the whole earth became deformed because of the tempest and the thunderings and the lightnings and the quaking of the earth. And behold, the rocks were rent in twain. They were broken up upon the face of the whole earth, insomuch that they were found in broken fragments, and in seams, and in cracks upon all the face of the land. And it came to pass, that when the thunderings and the lightnings and the storm and the tempest and the quaking of the earth did cease, for behold, they did last about the space of 3 hours, and it was said by some that the time was greater. Nevertheless, all these great and terrible things were done in about the space of 3 hours, and then behold, there was darkness upon the face of the land. And it came to pass that there was thick darkness upon all the face of the land, insomuch that the inhabitants therefore who had not fallen could feel the vapor of darkness. Sounds like the ash and the soot blocking out the sun. After the giant bomb, there's blackness in the sky from all the smoke. Nuclear weapons were not the only advanced technology described being used by Mormon gods. As a matter of fact, Joseph Smith, the most famous, most renowned disciple of the Mormon Church, accurately describes his encounters with the Mormon God in the same way people describe modern-day extraterrestrial encounters and UFO abductions. One recurring experience documented by modern-day UFO abductees is paralysis, also described by Joseph Smith in a more recent encounter during the year 1820. The book of Joseph Smith, chapter 2, verse 15 reads, "Immediately I was seized upon by some power which entirely overcame me, and had such astonishing influence over me as to bind my tongue so that I could not speak. Thick darkness gathered around me, and it seemed to me for a time as if I were doomed to sudden destruction. Then a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun, which descended gradually until it fell upon me. It no sooner appeared than I found myself delivered from the enemy which held me bound. When the light rested upon me, I saw 2 personages, whose brightness and glory defy all description, standing above me in the air. One of them spake unto me, calling me by name, and said, pointing to the other, This is my beloved Son, hear him." In a later encounter described by Joseph in the book Joseph Smith, chapter 2, verse 30, he accurately describes a modern-day technology being used by the gods called a hologram. "I discovered a light appearing in my room, which continued to increase until the room was lighter than at noonday, when immediately a personage appeared at my side, standing in the air, for his feet did not touch the floor. He had on a loose robe of most exquisite whiteness, beyond anything earthly I had ever seen. Nor do I believe that any earthly thing could be made to appear so exceedingly white and brilliant. It appears that this god, or multiple gods, are going around the planet, threatening, murdering, indoctrinating, and dictating humans using advanced technology and advanced understanding of how the universe works. After reading the Old Testament Bible, one can only conclude that the Christians were under the same kind of dictatorship as the Mormons, either by the same Mormon God himself, or perhaps another god working in cahoots with him to dictate the humans. Some researchers believe Enlil from ancient Sumerian is also the same god in the Old Testament Bible, and also the same god in the Book of Mormon. Let's read from Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 1. "You must be very careful to do everything I am commanding you. Do not add to it or subtract from it, Suppose a prophet or one who foretells by dreams should appear among you and show you a sign of wonder, and the sign of wonder should come to pass concerning what he said to you, namely, let us follow other gods, gods whom have not previously known, and let us serve them. You must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer, for the Lord your God will be testing you to see if you love him with all your mind and being. You must follow the Lord your God and revere only him, and you must observe his commandments, obey him, serve him, and remain loyal to him. This guy's a total dictator. As for the prophet or the dreamer, he must be executed, because he encouraged rebellion against your Lord, the Lord your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt, redeeming you from that place of slavery, and because he has tried to entice you for the way the Lord your God has commanded you to go. In this way, you must purge out evil from within. So it's like their God is like, oh, well, I saved you from this slavery so I can enslave you. You know, it's this total dictatorship. It's absolutely ridiculous that people actually worship this God. Suppose your own brother, your son, your daughter, your beloved wife, or your closest friend should seduce you secretly and encourage you to go serve other gods that neither you nor your ancestors have previously known, the gods of the surrounding people, whether near you or far from you, from one end to the earth to the other. You must not give in to him or even listen to him. Do not feel sympathy for him or spare or cover up for him. Instead, you must kill him without fail. So now he's telling them to kill their family members. Your own hand must be the first to strike him, and then the hands of the whole community. So it's like, all right, you go first, then everyone else jump in. You must stone him to death, because he tried to entice you away from the Lord your God, who delivered you from the land of Egypt, the place of slavery. Thus all Israel will hear and be afraid. No longer will they continue to do evil like this among you. Suppose you should hear in one of your cities, which the Lord your God is giving you as a place to live, that some evil people have departed from among you, and to entice the inhabitants of their cities, saying, let's go and serve other gods. You must investigate thoroughly and inquire carefully. If it is indeed true that such a disgraceful thing is being done among you, you must by all means slaughter the inhabitants of the city with a sword, annihilate with the sword everyone in it, as well as the livestock. You must gather all of its plunder into the middle of the plaza and burn the city and all its plunder as a whole burnt offering to the Lord your God. There he goes again, commanding his followers to murder innocent people. This is great stuff, you know. You see why I'm not religious. I mean, they skipped this whole section in private school. They never wanted to talk about this stuff. As stated earlier, as we read through the Book of Mormon, their God has an agenda to acquire archaeological data. Is it not a coincidence that the United States Army is also commanded to carry out the same agenda? In 2003, when the U.S. Army was commanded by their God to invade Iraq, the first place they secured was the museum, and they raided the museum for all of its genealogy records, ancient artifacts, mummified genetic material, and archaeological data. They were also commanded to secure the ziggurat of Ur, which is an ancient Anunnaki temple of the gods, and a significant site containing ancient and archaeological data. It would appear that not much has changed over thousands of years. Humanity is still enslaved by the same gods. The same gods are still manufacturing world wars and fighting over control of the human species. The same gods are still mingling in human affairs behind the scenes. Does humanity really have potential to rise to the level of the gods in terms of technology? Can humanity free itself from the prison planet of Earth? We will find out shortly.